Throughout the years, the Super Mario series has actually changed a lot, with tons of new mechanics being introduced and others being dumped. However, while the series has evolved so much, there's one thing that never really went away and always played a role: the coins. But what is even their purpose, and how did they change over time in terms of use, design, story and gameplay? Well, let's find out. Now, all of this started a very long time ago, in an era where gaming at home on the living room TV wasn't a thing, but you actually had to go to arcade halls, because we first saw them in 1983 appearing in the title Mario Bros, having quite a simple role in the game itself. Now, they were a rather uncommon item compared to later games, seeing them after defeating an enemy, after which they will come out of the pipes and slide along the ground. If you run after it and grab it, they will give you 800 points and a dollar sign actually briefly appears. Clearly, in this first game, they were just used as a way to gain points to beat the high score. Besides that, they really had no use. This game was for the arcade halls after all, so getting the high score on one of the cabinets there is the main goal in the end, as well as having fun, of course. So that's where it all started, and the next step for this video game currency would be to transition from the arcades to the living room, which would finally happen in Super Mario Bros. And here, coins are the most common thing found in the entire game. They are seen in every level, spawning from blocks or floating in the air, and are worth 200 points when collected. So again, they give you points just like in the arcade game, but this time it's easier to get more. But this time they added something new to it all that's only possible now that the gaming scene moved to your own house. Collecting 100 coins gives you an extra life. And as some of you can imagine, this won't work in the world of arcade systems. You had to throw in coins to play. Once you run out of lives, you need to put in more. So a system where players could get lives back quite effectively would hurt their earnings. And so that was never a thing, until now. In the next game, Super Mario Bros. 2, they expanded upon this even more. Because while the coins are harder to get, they can now be used in bonus chance games to win extra lives. And in the third Super Mario Bros. Game, the same happened as well. More minigame stuff, but this time you win coins instead of use them to play. However, while that's quite a minor change in the third game, they also did something that had a bigger effect: switch blocks. These can turn brick blocks into coins and vice versa, which has a gigantic impact on the game, to be honest. All of a sudden, you can get more coins from blocks, and even better, you can turn coins into platforms to reach certain places or make sections easier. The value of coins is different now. Sometimes you want the points to do minigames or gain more lives, and other times they will help you get to secrets or even clear levels, which has a big impact on the game, as you can imagine. But there's even more to it all, as some also create a new coin. Blue ones, which have the same value as any coin, but it allows you to get even more of them. Now, so far, the design hasn't changed that much. They still look the same for the most part. Only in the next game, Super Mario Land, they would look and sound different. Mostly because the handheld isn't that powerful. Clearly in the beginning, they were just used as points, then they became important to get lives, and now they're also a part of the gameplay. However, the next game in line for home consoles, Super Mario World, would expand upon this and change things rapidly. For example, they added a new switch. This time it isn't the coins or blocks who change, but actually the enemies. They will turn into grey coins, which do not count as normal coins but do count for points. And each one collected gives multiplied points, up to 3 1-ups in the original game. So as you can see, they expanded upon the whole Switch concept even more, adding enemies to the mix now as well, creating some sort of minigame out of it. But that's not all. They added another type of currency that is collectible and looks quite different: the dragon coins, which are large, have an oval shape, and got a picture of a Yoshi on them. And if you collect all of them, then you get an extra life. But people tend to get them mostly for completionist reasons. So in 7 years, they have changed a lot already, going from just points to being a part of the gameplay and more. But in the next game, a lot would change yet again. Mostly because they would go from 2D to 3D for the first time ever. First of all, their design. They now have a star-shaped symbol and are fully modeled, looking octagonal thanks to it. But that's not all. Their purpose has also changed to an extent. They restore health as well as oxygen when swimming underwater. So they're a real lifesaver now. And this was seen in almost every 3D game after. Not just being points, but also able to heal you, making them even more valuable. And you also gain an extra life faster. It takes 50 coins now. So overall, they are a part of life now. You need them for survival. But it didn't end there, because while their role in gameplay was already growing and growing in previous games, here it would become crucial. Because when you collect 100 of them in a level, you will get a power star, which are important collectibles in the game that lead to progress. And there are new red coins that appear in some levels as well as an objective for certain missions, yet again rewarding you with a power star. So while they grant you more health so you can survive the toughest challenges, they are also required to beat the game at times. They're ingrained into it now, going from a minor element to being incredibly important in about 13 years. So what would be next for them? Could they possibly become an even bigger part of the franchise in time? Well, no. From here on out, things will slow down. Super Mario Sunshine, for example, is very similar to Super Mario 64, but the only difference is that blue coins can be traded for shines, which are the power stars of this game. However, at some point, Nintendo was kind of done with the 3D games and started to make new 2D ones. And so the new Super Mario Bros. Series was born. And in the first game, they actually added some new things that greatly improved it. For example, the special collectible coins can now be used to unlock levels, a bit like power stars. And the red coins also made their way into the game, since you can now activate a red ring, which will make 8 of them appear, and if you collect them all, you're rewarded. So that's great. Even in the 2D games, they're an amazing element. However, from this point onwards, things would actually go downhill. Because in Super Mario Galaxy, it went wrong. The coins weren't seen that much. Instead, star bits played a big role. We only saw a coin with a question mark on it, which will hold a surprise, and purple coins that can be collected for more stars. And this trend would continue. Sure, they would still be seen, but nothing really new happened for quite some time. Or they were barely seen at all. Only when New Super Mario Bros. 2 came around the corner, Nintendo went for a new approach. An interesting one. Here they are extremely common and are the main emphasis of the game. A big side goal is to collect 1 million coins total, which awards you with a golden Mario statue in the title screen. And this will change to a gold raccoon Mario statue as a reward for almost getting 10 million coins. And to reach this goal, they added new power-ups that give you even more coins, like the gold flower and elements like gold rings.
Here comes the money.
Here we go. Money talk.
Here comes the money.
So, while it's not a major difference, the focus is on coins now, and collecting normal ones is even more rewarding now in a 2D game. But still, while being a currency of sorts, they're quite useless. You can't really use them for anything, to be honest. However, luckily enough, all of this would change very soon, because Nintendo finally realized they could do some really fun stuff with this. And in Super Mario Odyssey, they finally came up with a way of making collecting coins of any type really worth it. Instead of giving an extra life for every 100 collected or healing you, they are actually a global currency and can be spent on clothing, power moons, life up hearts, decorations, and more. Now the place you need to go to is the Crazy Cap, a store that's seen in almost all of the kingdoms in the game, instantly becoming quite an iconic place, because it's the location to get all of the best outfits, and gosh, there are so many. However, some are special and harder to get, because you need regional coins for those, which can only be spent in kingdoms in which they are found. Now they are basically different looking purple coins, and are specifically made for those kingdoms and nothing else. Hey, psst. In the upper right corner is our Patreon, where you can get some exclusive content, as well as help out the channel. So please, go check it out, as well as the other videos there. Now let's continue. Personally, I love this, and it's one of the best coin-based mechanics introduced ever, since the stuff seen in Super Mario 64. It does something truly new, and actually gives them real value for the player, as well as the world they are in. Normally you couldn't do a whole lot with them. Maybe buy some power-ups here and there, or spend them on minigames, but nothing major. However, the revolutionary Super Mario Odyssey finally changed all of this, improving the game for sure. So is that where our journey ends? Well, yes, there's nothing more to it. In the end, they did change a lot. Back in the arcade era, they were just there to make the scoreboard more interesting. Probably to lure in players. You want to be number one after all. And in time, they would actually play a more interesting role in the game. A bigger one. Acting as a lifesaver, or a real currency to get some cool stuff. Clearly, Nintendo was a big fan of them and made something absolutely great, as well as iconic out of them.